Saudi Arabia
Yes.
now is changing
Yep.
football. The fans are
Yep.
going to be with full stadiums to watch the world-class players that are landing. Players like N'Golo Kanté, Karim Benzema, and maybe a huge player
Mm.
like Bernardo Silva. But that rests to be seen. But one of the biggest
Yep.
winners with the Saudi Arabia situation is Chelsea. Chelsea, in
Yeah.
like 48 hours, they managed to guarantee more than £120 million with player sales like Kouliably, Edouard Mendy, Ziyech, Kai Havertz. That yes, it wasn't to Saudi Arabia, maybe Arsenal,
Yeah.
but a lot of
Mhm.
money has left now with Chelsea. They are doing great business, in my opinion. And Todd Boehly clearly knew something we didn't last January, from my point of view. He knew the investment was going to come in Saudi Arabia, and that was a necessity to sign world-class players. And Chelsea are exploiting that new market, in my point of view. I wanted to
Well, I wouldn't say they're exploiting it, because exploiting it means that they're actually getting a good deal, right?
are.
No, they're spending their faces off for players that probably don't cost that much. Mudryk, no. Even Madueke's cost. I love Noni Madueke. Too much.
No,
They're overspending. So that's how you strong arm people, and that's what's happening. And it's easy to do that when one of your majority owners is Saudi, right? And
he owns
they are
less than
one of the
5%,
majority owners of okay. So minority owner
Yeah.
of Silver. What is it? Silver Lake? No, Clear Lake. Clear Lake, right? Yeah, Clear Lake Capital is what it's called. But listen to this. Like, come on. You do that, I guess, knowing this heading into it, but it does feel icky. Okay? I'm not calling it a conflict of interest. I'm not calling it any of that. I'm sure people will be investigating these particular things. But ultimately, to literally have ready-made in less than a week's time, all of these guys lined up, guys that are considered cast-offs, essentially, of the team for the most part. Koulibaly to Al Hilal for $23 million. Mendy gone. Ziyech gone. Okay? It seems a little suspect. So, and then on top of that, you're spending $65 million or about one Kai Havertz for Strasbourg, right? And you're buying a club to expand business. So whether or not it's all actually kosher, that remains to be seen. But Chelsea is getting all the help that they absolutely need to revamp their lineup. You're 100% correct. By getting rid of their cast-offs to Saudi Arabia. And I bet they threw Christian Pulisic's name in there too, and he's probably already turned it down.
But
So,
imagine, you got the Chelsea Saudi Arabia transfers, but non-Saudi Arabia, you got Kovacic, Mason Mount, Lukaku, and
Yeah.
Kai Havertz. Those four are going to be
Osby, too.
sold for more than 150 million. Just those four. So imagine, I think that Chelsea are selling all the players that they don't have in their future ambitions. And Pochettino, I think he's in love with these decisions too. When you have a manager that is lined up now and making concrete decisions for the future, I do think that changes will happen. But I wanted to say a special thing about Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves is a Wolverhampton legend. 6 years with this team. He's the youngest player to play as a captain in a Champions League game for Porto at 18. He was unbelievable for Wolves. I wanted to give, and they even were promoted. When Ruben Neves arrived at Wolverhampton, he promoted Wolves. And he maintained that team with the culture, attracting a lot of Portuguese players to play with him. João Moutinho, Rui Patricio, a lot of legends past, Portuguese legends from Wolves. And I want to say, I'm not going to, Ruben Neves, I'm not going to hate on you to go to Saudi Arabia for 3 years and earning 25 million a season. At 29, he can return to Europe 75 million more richer. Yeah. So, look, he's still going to have a great career. And Ruben Neves, just go bold at Al Hilal, and a new career is going to be done there. But we're going to talk more about the FIFA Club World Cup more forwards. So stay at episode 111. But Ruben Neves, shout out to him. I wanted to say that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to take the other side of that coin. 26 years old, and we're already talking about him as a legend. The fact that he moved... Yeah, but the fact that he moved to a championship squad to start, let alone got them promoted, that tells me that there seems to be just a difference in mechanism, right? There's a difference in thought to Ruben Neves, right? He doesn't really care for Champions League ever. He doesn't care for playing at the pinnacle of the game. So it is interesting. I love him as a player. And no doubt he has provided legendary moments for Wolves fans in terms of some of the best goals I've ever seen in the Premier League in the last, amidst his time in the Premier League. But in the end, I do see it as kind of a lack of ambition all across the board. And if if it's all money, that's fine. I guess that's your prerogative. That's your ability as a footballer. You don't have to take the path of always needing to be at the tippy top of your game at all times. But you can't sugarcoat that and say that is not disappointing. I mean, Roberto Martinez, I know, is new, and I know he played him the other day, but ultimately you got to think to yourself, if I want this guy as razor sharp as possible, I want him cutting his teeth in the Champions League.
I understand my point of view, but I think from Ruben Neves' point of view, and I know for this because of some insights, I can say Ruben Neves only had one team in his mind, and that team was Barcelona. And it's devastating, and it was devastating that Barcelona didn't have in their intentions with Xavi to go for him. So in his mind, he said, look, I'm going to earn in 3 years what Ruben Neves in his mind said. In 3 years, I'm going to earn what many players in the history of football couldn't even earn, like half of that. Yeah. 75 million 3 seasons is just mad. And the fact that he's being offered that, I think he had to accept that. And I'm going to reiterate, he'll be 29 and he can make another career decision, and I believe he will be still at top shape. Still be at
the issue there. Yeah, the issue there is he's never getting 25 million. There's no way to justify getting 25 million a year over there. So you're going to be you better bank all that or find a good financial advisor because frankly, that 25 million a year, when you come back to Europe, you're not making anywhere close to that.
Exactly.
You're not making anywhere close to that at all. So the move back is actually a whole lot tougher because mentally, I don't know how you go from, hey, 25 million. Well, we're only going to offer you 5 when you come back at 29 years old.
I don't think that. Well, I think he does that.
Hold on. This is a new territory. But this is a new territory.
He's going to earn 75 million in 3 years another time. Like, this is his peak of his
career. He's not going to.
Exactly.
He's not.
That's why he has to accept it.
It's not the peak of his career. 26 to 29 is not necessarily the peak of your career. Tell Messi and Ronaldo that. That's not the peak of your career necessarily. 26 to 29, you're still relatively formative. You're still relatively actually making yourself a legend. He ain't a legend. Ruben Neves is not a legend.
For Wolves,
he's not. For Wolves, he's not. No.
What?
I'm not going to say that.
You're saying he's not a Wolves legend, Ruben Neves?
No way.
That's disrespectful,
no way.
Breton. Being honest.
No way.
Like,
no
that's hella disrespectful towards him. And I feel sorry for him.
The Ruben Neves move. I'm trying to understand, like, N'Golo Kanté, I understand it. Okay. Koulibaly, I guess I understand it, right? But when it comes down to it, I need to understand for you, do you think what the Saudis are doing, considering they're out for the 2030 World Cup, they already agree it ain't happening for them. Okay. What is the plan here? To throw $200 billion or $20 billion, not $200 billion, to throw $20 billion at players every 3 years and continue to buy into these players? Or is it to actually develop and develop an infrastructure to actually be able to develop players in Saudi Arabia and in the Middle East? Or is it by osmosis? You bring Ruben Neves in and automatically 4 guys around him become close to Ruben Neves, or no?
No.
Like, what is the end game? Is it changing football for the positive or for the negative? This type of massive cash injection, and it almost feels money laundering like, right? In the sense that they're just throwing cast-off players.
That's money that exists from petrol. The country's just investing it in a different way. I think this is very different. So, but I think Saudi Arabia bringing in Cristiano.
Well, is it for the good or is it for the good or for the bad of football? I need to get you on record.
It's for the good of football. Why would it be for the wrong part of football?
I'll let the comments decide that. Okay. Because I don't agree.
Okay.
We've seen it. We've seen it. Okay, so you would have said the Chinese Super League, that was good for football back in 2012?
Chinese Super League didn't have full stadiums like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has a massive fan base potential, just like the U.S. I see the U.S. market and the Saudi Arabia market.
China has a massive potential, too.
They do have, but they didn't have full stadiums. They just
didn't have an infrastructure.
No,
they just didn't have an infrastructure.
Are different.
They don't have the heritage. They didn't build anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
But it's
what do you mean the fans are different? Have you been to China? Have you been to Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia
I don't
has
see
full packed stadiums. Full packed stadiums supporting Al Nassr, Al Hilal, teams that, yes, they are recent, just like MLS teams, but it's a legacy to be made. And seeing now a FIFA Club World Cup that is a competition that is to have higher significance in the future than in the Champions League in a 20 to 30 years time scheme of things, it's undeniable that no one can beat the Champions League in terms of legacy and football heritage. But the fact that what's happening is football is having investment for many different sides of the world. US, Saudi Arabia, like China did in the past. It didn't work out. It happens. But it's something that we need to accept, that the world is changing and football is changing too.
No. This is only Saudi Arabia doing this.
Newcastle are in the Champions League, and you're saying football.
Well, yeah. They're doing that within technically, although it's flawed, incredibly flawed, a regulatory environment. They're doing that where you can actually police it. Here, you don't necessarily know what's going to be happening. But if you feel it's for the good, then that's fine. They're just going to have to continue to inject $20 billion. And I know petrol dollars will continue to pay for that. It's whether or not they lose interest or they continue. I just don't get the end game. If the end game is to entertain your crowd, why now?
Because the FIFA Club World Cup is coming in 2025 and 30.
They only get 2 spots.
But they still
get 2
spots. And Al Hilal will be one of them. But it's still 2 spots.
The J League is better than them. But
why do they get 2 spots? Because they're so recent.
They only get 2.
But that's why, because they don't have the significance still.
You're telling me a $20 billion injection to players into the Saudi League, okay, is solely to expand the amount of spots that the AFC gets?
Again, it's the new competition. It just started. They have 2 spots.
Not a new competition. It's an expanded competition.
No.
It's not
it's
a new
restructured. I'm so sorry. I got to rephrase with you now. This is a restructured competition, the FIFA Club World Cup in 2025, in which it was going to have 32 teams with the Champions League winner Chelsea, Man City, Real Madrid, Palmeiras, Flamengo, Al Hilal, Seattle Sounders, all confirmed teams to participate. And it's going to be every 4 years. It's a new competition restructured. I'm sorry that I should have said like this. And I think Saudi teams are seeing football in a different way. And I think football fans, again, in 20, 30 years' time, I think these competitions will take a toll, and it might change the history of the game. And I agree with Seferin that he has to invest in academies, not just with big-time players. It is true, but this is a cultural change that we're facing in the world too. Geopolitical, a lot of things are happening. And again, this is football as a consequence of the culture we live. So I just wanted to say that I'm not going to hate on Ruben. I'm not going to hate on Bernardo Silva if they go. They make their decisions. And I could even see Bernardo Silva, if he gets like 100 million a season, coming back to Benfica, reinvesting that money a bit in the club, and maybe becoming an investor. I don't know what the future holds, but again, he has objectives, ambitions, and I don't know what they are. But people, you
painted with a rosy brush. That's all I have to say. I see it a whole lot more skeptically for you in terms of Ruben Neves's, ingratiation back into or integration back into, say, European football after this. I mean, you look at the Chinese Super League, it was tough for a lot of those guys to find moves back based on what they carried in terms of how much money they were making over there. Okay, you literally just brought up the one person that recently had success.
Hulk
has not necessarily had success beyond coming back from the Super League. He's much older, and he plays a much different role than he was expected to play as one of the preeminent stars of that 2012, massive. And a lot of those teams have gone kaput back then. So yes, I'm with you. I can't paint it. I know he's a Portuguese player. I can't paint it any other way than I'm disappointed about Ruben Neves. I am interested with my popcorn. I will sit here and I will watch the Saudi League as I won't actually be able to watch it unless there's some deals. on my end of the pond. But what I am excited is if you're saying that is the reason they're injecting money into it is because they know there's a global stage and they want to play on it, and the Club World Cup is the way to do it. I am very excited about the Club World Cup. 32 teams. It sounds absolutely wonderful. It will take place in the United States in 2025. And I'm going to tell you right now, the United States is going to have the Copa America played 2024 on their shores. 2025, we'll have the newfangled Club World Cup that looks amazing. 2026, we got the Men's World Cup. 2027, we'll likely have the Women's World Cup. And you know what? If we can't take a massive step forward, right, then we probably will never take a massive step forward in terms of credibility on the footballing stage. Now, we still have to do it incrementally. We still can't open up and spend as much. We don't have the petrol dollars, right? There's corporations and there's individuals that have to invest their own money into this game. But by all means, the U.S., I'm excited about the trajectory. It's also a massive opportunity that could get missed. And it's a little bit scary to think that we miss it.
But
a little bit scary to think
what the people say in the comment section down below about the Saudi League,
Yeah.
and now what you said about the MLS. Leave your thoughts down below.
Not MLS.
MLS and football, U.S. men's national team.
American
related.
football. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.